CANSAT that is designed to help finding victims of some natural disasters. Also, it is a modular CANSAT, modular probe, so we can change modules with different medical aperture or some cargo for pills, some medical stuff to help those people. And jumping to primary mission, first day we were receiving temperature each second in our database, in our base station. Also, we were receiving pressure each second, and we created altitude and temperature of altitude graphs. So we did the primary mission very well, and this data turned out to be really valuable in terms of rescue, which we will see later. Speaking about second day, we received majority of those temperature and pressure data, but also we've managed to get altitude and temperature of altitude graphs from it. Okay, so this is the first day graph of temperature inside and outside of our SAT. And we can see that during drone ascent, those temperatures, here is inside the SAT, near all electronics, so it's much warmer, and this is outside, are almost the same because of weak airflow inside this drone box. And during descent, actually, CANSAT gets much more cooler because of this fast airflow, and temperature outside drops just to meet the air temperature, and then it rises as we are closer to the ground, which we will talk about later. Also, this information is important in terms of rescue operations, because we can get easily information if the environment where our victims are is freezing cold or is it warm, so we can adjust our mission. For instance, in some temperatures we cannot use some kind of vehicles or helicopters, so it's really useful.
In addition to that, we have conducted measurements of the pressure outside and inside the camp. As you can clearly see, the pressure started to drop around here and then came back to the primary value, which is, and it is to be seen that the drone was ascending here and the can was dropping here. It's worth noting that both the pressure inside and outside the can are pretty much the same, so that is the difference to the temperature measurement, which proved a really high discrepancy between the measurement planes.
And this pressure is important to calculate next thing, altitude in terms of time, which we calculated just from temperature and pressure. And as you can see, during descent we were going to 400 meters, and after that we dropped to 0. And this is important in our rescue mission too, but we will cover that just in a second.
So the final graph we're going to present here, which is about our primary mission, is the temperature in terms of altitude. This graph is a little complicated, so I will explain it shortly. Here is the altitude on the x-axis. While ascending to the left, yeah, sorry for that. While ascending to the left, the temperature was around constant because of this lack of airflow in the drone compartment. After it was opened, the CANSAT quickly cooled down to the air temperature, and then during the descent, it started heating just as the air temperature was rising.
Yes, so it proves that air is hotter near the ground and it's cooler when we are high. Okay, so during day 2 we got some mysterious readings which we had to somehow investigate. And here you can see actually our drop from drone. Here should be the part where when drone ascends. And it looks like a lack of signal, but actually we had an unexpected reboot. And after a long investigation, we are not sure, but
we suspect that it was caused by some jamming of the I2C.
Yes,
we aren't sure.
Yes, and to be honest, we were really lucky that this reboot happened in the drone just before the descent. Yes, and actually you can see that you can see even there that this design shutter, it looks like we lost the signal, but actually we got connection all the time. You can see that these are the temperature and pressure packets, and these are the GPS packets. So they somehow meshed in the way, mixed in the way that we send temperature, GPS temperature, something like that. But in terms of transfer continuity, the transfer was continuous and we received all the data. So we think it's a success. Also, here you can see our readings of pressure inside and outside, and you can see that they differ, which is not correct and doesn't suit our readings for present day.
Well, the pressure was, of course, 650 hectopascals.
Yes, and it is caused that we unfortunately changed the sensor to the wrong one because we didn't notice the small change.
Yeah, we changed the board, but forgot to change the software, and that was the case. Like, it is, anyways, a miracle that it worked with the wrong software, but yeah, the pressure was
Yes,
correct.
and you can see that these pressures are the same shape, but they are shifted somehow, and it's just the case. It's just the magic calculator is offset, and you can fit them. Okay, so this data from primary machine can be useful because using altitude from temperature and pressure, we are able to identify where our CANSAT is in some kind of mountain environment. Also, our secondary mission, we were trying to send images on demand during descent, sending comments to let and all messages. Using text and all having an interview with victims, which is really useful for rescuing. We were attention drawing led link, we had it. And we got modular standardized CANSAT.
All of this worked perfectly except for the GPS data, which we'll cover in a moment.
Yes, it turned out the GPS antenna was hooked up from the board, and after plugging it in, it worked very well, but it was after the mission.
Also, the QA communication with via our LoRa radio proved working perfectly.
Yes, we were writing comments to the SAT, and this is it is the log from the SAT that it proves that SAT received these comments, and this is a request for photos, and we've sent this photo during our descent. Also, this is the comment where we turn the OLED on, and you can see that after this comment, our SAT got another process running, which is our LED drivers on board.
Also, interview was conducted successfully. However, the hey Kresiek message has not been displayed on the OLED because the CANSAT was switched off right before that. It was like a split second.
Also, we received answers from this interview to our base station. This proves our modularity because we also had this blood pressure sensor, and it worked very well. As you can see, this is the test that we conducted a month ago.
However, the model got damaged and we weren't able to use it.
These are things that we can improve, like improve these differences in packets, like this.
So that the primary mission is prioritized over GPS data.
Yes, also this button is debalancing because we actually had some problems with these buttons. We had to to fix that after the mission to get nice data. Some extra features included the logs that helped us to investigate what was wrong and what was okay. And let's summarize. We got information about the victim, we got requests from base and high power LED, we got reliability of the rescue SAT, we got standardized model of CANSAT, we can use changeable models. So summarizing, we did our primary mission very well and also secondary, and so we consider it as a big success. And huge thanks to our sponsors, Krakowski Park Technologiczny, Steel Director, Team of Bakers, Parker and Pimoroni, because if not them, we would not construct this CANSAT. That's all from us. Thank you.
Okay, let's start the question and answer session.
My question was during primary mission. Have you checked the descent velocity of your CANSAT and compare it to
Yes.
calculations?
Yes. Actually, after calculating it, we got 8.5 meter per second, and we were calculating something about 9 meter per second. So I think that it's okay, considering the imperfections of sensors.
So it's consistent with.
Yes.
Okay, I have another question, because the day before the final launch, you were still thinking which mission to choose.
Yes.
And why did you choose this and not that? And if you would be at the European position, which missions would you choose?
We had problems with our cameras, both thermal and thermal, and so we weren't able to fix them. And owing to this fact, we have decided to conduct the
Yes.
thermal mission.
We are also inspired by mentors and by our team mentor. And because our mission is so, let's say, multifunctional and flexible, we are able to conduct a mission simulating this camera. So we were just sending preloaded photos and do something more instead. Instead of like simply fixing this camera, which we can easily simulate.
Okay, if everything would work fine, which mission would you choose?
If everything worked fine, we think that
Yeah, both missions will be conducted.
yes, like
Because the photos, we transmitted them, but they were just taken in advance.
yes. So if
And then
everything worked, we would have some time to let's say prepare this dialogue, this interview. But we were just spending time fixing this camera instead of putting this dialogue thing together.
Okay, next question.
You've mentioned that you had a scattered transmission between pressure and the information about the GPS.
Yes,
right?
yes, yes.
Did it happen before or only during the final drop?
That's a good question, and we haven't really tested it. Well, during our test, we didn't parse the data live, so we weren't aware that this is happening. It was also caused by the fact that we were transmitting images which decreased the throughput. And on the day before the first round, we haven't transmitted any images, and the throughput was fast enough to transmit all data live, despite the
Yes.
race
And
conditions.
the throughput was so close and tight because of this short time connected with drone descent instead of rocket. We are trying both to get thermal and regular image at the same time. So the throughput was really cluttered with these packets.
One more question. How did you manage two-way communication in terms of like blocking each other?
Yeah, that's a good question. We've mentioned it in the reports, but to just remind, our protocol is a master-slave protocol. The can is the master, and the base is the slave. And the principle is that the slave can transmit their data only after receiving a packet from the master. So the can transmits its data, and the base transmits as a response, and the can waits a predefined time. If the can receives nothing, it just transmits the next packet. So if it receives nothing, that means that the communication was broken somewhere in between.
So it's like the acknowledgements.
Yeah.
So I have a question because originally the mission would have been dropped from over 1 kilometer in the air, and after all it was dropped from, let's say, 400 or 300 meters. Did it influence somehow that secondary mission, or what do you think about?
Well, of course, it would influence the secondary mission drastically in case that when our cameras wouldn't malfunction. Of course, the images from the higher altitude would provide a nice overview of the area and would help us locate the victims. But due to the fact that the cameras didn't work, it wasn't a real concern.
But talking about this thing that happened yesterday, it influenced us in that way that we are trying to take more photos at the same time during this short period of our descent. We were not testing something like that before. We were just requesting one photo, waiting it to finish, and then another one.